The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes. Best of all king-size cigarettes brings you Dragnet on both radio and television.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to vice detail. A professional gambling ring has set up operations in your city. Dozens of citizens are being victimized. The gamblers keep on the move, changing their locations day to day. Your job? Get them. Compare Fatima with any other king-size cigarette.
Yes, compare Fatima with any other king-size cigarette.
1. Fatima's length filters the smoke 85 millimeters for your protection.
2. Fatima's length cools the smoke for your protection.
3. Fatima's length gives you those extra puffs, 21% longer than standard cigarette size.
Fatima gives you more for your money.
And in king-size Fatima, you get an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality. Buy Fatima in the bright, sunny yellow pack. Best of all, king-size cigarettes.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Monday, February 9th. It was foggy in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of vice detail. My partner's Bill Lockwood. The boss is Lieutenant Bingham. My name's Friday. It was 4:20 p.m. when I got to the second floor of the old Central Jail building. Vice detail.
Hi, Joe.
Hi, Bill. Did he show up yet?
Yeah, waiting in the next room.
Oh, fine. Did you talk to him yet?
No, he just came in a couple of minutes ago. Figured I'd wait for you.
Well, how's he seem? Sober? Does he look like he's off the leash?
Yeah, he looks pretty good. Shaved, cleaned up a little.
Fine. Dave, how are you?
Oh, hiya, Friday. Thought I'd drop by and see you. Remember you were talking to me last week about that thing.
You hear anything, Dave?
Yeah, I think I might have something for you. I think it's what you're looking for. Tried to get you on the phone last night. You weren't in.
Well, you should have left a message.
Oh, I didn't want to do that. You know how it is. Guess I shouldn't even be coming up here like this.
You got some kind of a permanent address, Dave? Phone number? Someplace we can contact you?
No, I'm still floating around a little.
Mm-hmm. Now, about this thing we were talking about, what'd you hear?
I picked up a little chatter. I think it's what you want. Say, you fellas had your coffee. I haven't had mine. What do you say?
Okay, how about the place down at the corner?
Fine with me.
All right, you want to check us out, Bill? Tell him we'll be back in about 10 minutes.
Yeah, fine.
Thank you. All right, Dave, we can go out this way.
Okay. You're looking pretty good, Friday. World treating you okay?
Well, I can't complain, I guess. Go ahead.
Thank you. Guess we better wait for your partner, huh? What's his name?
Lockwood.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Skipper's got something for us when we get back, Joe.
All right.
You're looking pretty good yourself, Lockwood. Yeah, real good.
You seem to be in pretty fair shape. That pocket full of change sounds healthy.
That's not too good. Still got a few dimes to rattle. Hasn't been coming too fast lately, though.
Mm-hmm. You still setting pins down there at that bowling alley?
Yeah, uh-huh. A lot of help hanging around, though. They really got to hustle for it.
That's so.
Oh, yeah. A lot of the alley's changing over to those automatic machines, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Quite a few guys out. Lousy machines can set pins better than a man can.
Hi, Matthews. How are you?
Hi, Joe. Hi, Bill. What do you say, John?
Not too much.
Hey, who's that guy?
He works out of the office. Why?
Nothing. I thought I'd seen him around. Yeah.
No, down this way, Dave. Just a couple of doors.
Oh, yeah.
By the way, did you hear anything about Tony? You know if he's in town?
No, I've been working on it. That dirty Tony, he's not going to show.
Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, well, thanks.
Now, why don't you two grab the back table? I'll order up.
All right, fine, Bill.
Black
thanks.
with sugar, huh?
All right. Cream and sugar for you, Joe?
Yeah, that's fine. Bring a couple of those jelly donuts, could you?
Okay.
All right. Well, what's the story, Dave? What do you hear?
Well, I heard about it last night, right after I left the alley. You told me to keep my ears open, you know?
Yeah.
Said you figured there might be something on that new bunch hanging around the bar down from the alleys. You figured they might tie in with a new bunch of high rollers in town.
Yeah. What'd you pick up?
I think you figured right, from what I heard anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Here you go. Have a donut, Dave?
Oh, yeah, thanks. You make a fine waiter, Lockwood.
Thanks. We don't get a lead pretty soon. I may have to take it up.
Dave was just telling me that he figures he might have something for us. He picked it up at the spot down from the alleys last night.
Well, like I said, after I was through at the alleys, I stopped by the place and had a couple of beers. Can't afford anything else. A few nickels they'd pay me. Lucky to get enough to eat the way things are going.
Yeah, it's pretty rough, I know. Well, what's the pitch you got, Dave?
Well, I was sitting there having a beer, and a couple of those new faces were sitting next to me. So I put my ear out and tried to pick up some of the talk.
Yeah.
I couldn't get all of it, but I did get enough to make out there's going to be a big game tonight. From what I could get, there's going to be a lot of scratch floating around.
You hear what it's going to be, Dave?
I had to play it careful, you know. Couldn't be too nosy.
Yeah, sure.
Well, I sat and had another beer, and one of these new monks heard the other guy call him Mike, I think. He asked the bartender for change to make a phone call. He got the change, went over the wall phone. I got up and drifted over that way. I made out like I was watching the shuffleboard. I caught some of his talk.
Yeah, what was that?
Well, he was talking about some big game tonight. I heard him say to the guy on the other end not to show up before 11:30.
To get an address?
Yeah, He said he'd be back of an empty store building down on Gibbons Avenue.
You get the number?
9122.
What was that again? 9122, is that right?
Yeah.
Gibbons, huh?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. As soon as I got out of the place, I wrote it down. Wait a minute. I got it. Let's see. Yeah, 9122 Gibbons. Yeah, that's it.
Now, this fellow that made the phone call, you say his name was Mike, is that right?
Yeah, that's what I heard his partner call him. He's kind of a short guy, like 35, 36, on the fat side, black hair.
Mike Filmer.
You know him?
Yeah, we've had an eye on him. Thought he might figure in.
Not about the size of it, Dave? That all you heard?
Yeah, that's about it, Friday. As soon as he finished the phone call, him and his partner left. I finished my beer and left, too. I had to. Couldn't afford another one. Real tough these days.
Yeah, well, thanks a lot, Dave. Really appreciate it.
Well, don't mention it. You've always done all right by me. Donut sure tasted great. Still hungry. The way I feel, I could take on a 3-inch steak.
I'm sorry things aren't better for you, Dave. How about a 10 spot? Will that help you any?
It sure will, Friday. Thanks a lot, huh? Really can use it.
Well, glad to help you. You're always helping us.
You sure make it nice. I mean, you make it nice and easy on a guy.
How do you mean?
Well, it's always there first. I never have to come right out and ask.
What's that?
The dough. You always get the pitch, don't you?
Almost a month before, we had begun receiving complaints about a newly established gambling ring which had set up operations in the city. After the first few complaints, we succeeded in identifying some of the men involved in the ring and also some of the places they frequented. The nature of most of the complaints against them was such that we knew we were dealing with a well-organized criminal element. Even if a player happened to win at one of the games, after he left the location, he was beaten and robbed. Despite the fact that we had some of the suspects identified, we still lacked sufficient evidence to prosecute them successfully. The various victims either would not or could not identify the suspects. We knew the gang was running 3 or 4 games a week, each one of them at a different location, each one of them at a different time. In the trade, that's known as a floating game. After we left our informant, Dave Carter, we headed back to the office and briefed Lieutenant Bingham. That afternoon, we checked the address on Gibbons Avenue and found it to be a vacant store building with a for rent sign in the window. There was an entrance in front and one in the rear, windows along both sides of the building, and a plasterboard partition dividing the inside of the store into 2 parts. The place was deserted. At 10 o'clock that night, Bill Lockwood and I staked out in our car down the street from the store. Sergeant Fred Taylor and Jack Matthews were staked out in their car from another point of observation. We were in constant touch with each other by 3-way radio. 10:30, 11 p.m., 11:30.
1K87 to 1K80, come in.
1K80 to 1K87, go ahead.
Joe, did you notice the lights come on in the back of the store a minute ago?
Yeah, 2 men. They went in the back way, parked their car just down the street from us here. Did you see anything else?
Car just pulled up down the street from us. 2 men getting out, heading for the store. Joe, just a minute. Yeah, they're going that way.
Yeah, I see him.
They're going around the back, Joe. Looks like it's going to pay off. Let's sit down it a while. KMA 367.
We waited. 11:45. A blue pickup truck pulled up and stopped a short way from the front entrance to the store. We saw 2 men get out and go around to the back of the truck and unload half a dozen large boxes, which they carried around to the rear entrance of the place. One of the men came back, got in the cab of the truck, and sat there. Midnight, 12:15 a.m. Over a period of half an hour, we watched 18 persons arrive from different directions and enter the store from the rear. 12:30, 1 a.m. There were no new arrivals. We waited.
1K87 to 1K80, come in.
1K80 to 1K87, go ahead.
Not much activity down here, Joe. Looks like it's pretty well set. What do you think?
Yeah, I think we might as well hit it. Same way we laid it out, huh, Fred? We'll wait until Matthews picks up the lookout, the man sitting in the truck.
Right, Joe. Jack, you want to go ahead and grab and go wait. He's on his way, Joe.
Okay, as soon as he picks him up, we meet in front of the place. Bill and I'll take the front. You cover the back. You got that?
Okay, Joe. Oh, hold on a minute, will you? Yeah, Jack got him. Bringing him back to the car.
Okay, let's go. KMA 367. You got the car keys, Bill?
Yeah, let's go.
All right.
You figure that's the best way Joe Toole is going in the front?
Well, it's probably where the rush is going to be. When Fred goes through the back, they're sure to start for the front.
Okay, Joe?
Yeah.
Jack's got the lookout in our car. He'll wait for us.
Right. Now, what do you think about this, Fred? You go around and hit the back door. As soon as they hear you inside, they'll probably start for the front. We'll take care of them there.
It's a good idea. Give me half a minute to get back there, huh?
Right. Watch yourself.
All right, Joe.
Let's go.
They're still going. Not wise to us.
Yeah, let's hold it right there.
Police officer, you're under arrest now. Hold it right there.
Come on, Bill. Let's hit it.
Shots, Joe.
Yeah, come on.
All right, get back there, Lois. Get back. Police officers.
Come on, back against the wall.
Going out the window, Joe. Fred! I said get back against the wall, all of you.
All right, I'll cover him. You get back and see what happened to Fred.
Right.
All right, mister. With the rest of them, they're back against the wall.
All right, I'm going. What's the beef about anyway? Just
All right,
having a
all
little
of you.
game?
Turn around. Face the wall. Put your hands against the wall.
What's the pitch anyway? Treating us like a bunch of thieves. You're just having a little fun. No harm done.
Joe. Yeah, did you find Fred? What happened?
He's been shot, hurt bad. Matthews is in with him now. I'll call the ambulance. Get some help.
All right. All right, you two. In with the others. Back against the wall.
What's the beef? Sure, big noise about nothing. We're here to play a little cards, friendly game, just $1 limit. Nobody ever gets hurt. We're all friends.
Is that why you carry guns? 1:20 a.m. The ambulance arrived, and Sergeant Fred Taylor was taken immediately to Georgia Street Receiving Hospital in a critical condition. He'd been shot twice through the upper portion of the chest. He'd been unconscious from the time of the shooting. Who the assailant was, we had no idea. The crime lab arrived at the scene and began their preliminary investigation. Meantime, homicide officers had arrived, and all units in the area were assisting in the investigation, making a house-to-house canvass and checking all backyards, alleys, and unoccupied buildings for possible suspects in hiding. Out of the total number of men present in the store at the time of the shooting, Bill and I had been able to detain 9 of them. The remainder had either scrambled out side windows or the rear door and then apparently made their way over back fences. The 9 we did get were taken downtown for interrogation. All of them had been searched, but no weapons had been found. Bill Lockwood and I remained at the scene assisting the homicide officers. 2:05 a.m. An additional 4 men who'd been present at the gambling game that night were picked up in the area, transported downtown, and held along with the other 9 at homicide detail. 2:20 a.m. Bill and I were called downtown to assist in the questioning. We got nowhere with the first 3 suspects. It was the same with the 4th.
You expect us to believe that, Mike? Well, it's the truth. I don't know anything about it.
Now, look, Mike, let's put it on the table, huh? We listened to your line of chatter down at the store when we made the pinch. We heard it all. Now, let's get on to facts.
I told you everything I know, no different than the other guys you picked up. I heard there was going to be a game tonight, so I came down.
Who'd you come down with? How'd you get there?
I drove, came by myself.
Where'd you park your car?
About 2 blocks away, a little alley there. By a gas station.
You're a liar, mister, and you know it.
Well, it's the truth, so help me. If I knew there was going to be trouble, I wouldn't even have showed up. I'd play a few cards, sure. I don't go in for heavy stuff, though. I haven't got anything to do with the game.
You're a liar.
You can't say that. Now, you show me where I've lied to you. Tell me.
We were staked out on that place tonight, Mike. It was a little past 11:45. You drove up in a blue pickup truck. Another man was with you. You were driving.
Oh, no, you got it wrong.
No, we haven't got it wrong. You parked that truck about 10 yards down the street from the front of the store. You got out first. The other man followed you. You unloaded 6 large cartons from the truck. Some of the equipment we found on the store. You took it around back and into the rear door, didn't you?
You got it wrong. It wasn't me. It couldn't have been me.
Come off it, Mike. The man you were with, we've got him down the hall. The other officers have talked to him. He gave him the straight story.
But I didn't come with any other guy. Now, will you listen to me? I knew some of them there. I'll admit that. I came by myself.
Now, you listen to me, mister. You get this through your head. Get it once and for all. This isn't a gambling beef anymore. Somebody's been shot. He's been hurt bad.
Well, that's not my fault. I didn't shoot him. I don't know anything about it.
You know more than you're telling. You lied about coming there in that truck. We saw you. Something else. The truck's been checked out. It's registered in your name. Now, you come up with an answer for that one fast.
Oh, I don't get it. Maybe my truck is down there. If it is, I don't know how it got there.
You're in a jam, Mike. This isn't any misdemeanor rap. I think the sooner you realize that, the better it's going to be
Look,
for you.
You don't have to tell me it's serious. I know that. Now, what do you want from me anyway?
You know what we want. You know the answers, and we want them. You're part of that gambling setup. We know that. We know who was there tonight. Everybody. We want the names of every one of them. Now, either you got the answer to that shooting or somebody in that crowd has. We're going to get the answer, Mike. Don't make any mistake about it. We're going to get it.
Now, what do I have to say to convince you you're talking to the wrong guy?
Not according to the man they got down the hall, the one in the pickup truck with you. He gave us the whole story. You hired him to help you tonight. You were going to pay him $20. He helped you haul the equipment to the store, and he was supposed to be the lookout at the front door. It ties in all the way. How about it?
All right. Now, you've been calling people liars, huh? Well, he's the liar. The whole lousy story is nothing but a lie.
All right, keep quiet. Friday talking. Oh, yes, sir. Oh, all right. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Now, you listen, Mike. Here's a piece of advice. You make up your mind.
Now, how do you mean make up my mind? I'm trying to cooperate. You don't believe me. I'm trying to help you out every way I can. I'm only too glad to give you a hand. I know you got a tough job. You got my
Now,
sympathy.
don't you worry about us, mister. From here in, start worrying about yourself. You're going to do a lot of it.
I don't know what you're talking about.
That policeman, he just died.
You are listening to Dragnet, authentic stories of your police force in action.
To show our confidence in Fatima, we make this money-back guarantee.
Buy a pack of Fatimas. Enjoy Fatima quality, extra mildness, and superbly blended tobaccos.
If you're not convinced Fatima is better than the king-size cigarette you're now smoking, just return the pack and the unsmoked Fatimas by August 1st, 1952, for your money back plus postage. Fatima, Box 37, New York 1.
Prove Fatima quality yourself. Compare Fatima with any other king-size cigarette.
1. Fatima's length filters the smoke 85 millimeters for your protection.
2. Fatima's length cools the smoke for your protection.
3. Fatima's length gives you those extra puffs, 21% longer than standard cigarette size.
Fatima gives you more for your money.
And in king-size Fatima, you get an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality. Ask your dealer for Fatima in the bright sunny yellow pack. Best of all, king-size cigarettes.
Tuesday, February 10th, 5:30 a.m. Sergeant Fred Taylor had died at approximately 5:22 a.m. Cause of death was listed as hemorrhage and shock due to the 2 gunshot wounds in the chest. Officers from the medical detail had rushed Taylor's wife from his home to the receiving hospital. She was with him at the time of his death. Unfortunately, he never regained consciousness. 5:45 a.m. While the investigation went on at the scene of the murder, Bill Lockwood and I continued our interrogation of the suspect, Mike Filmer. Another hour of questioning, and he still refused to tell us anything. We finally confronted him with the man we'd seen him arrive with at the location of the gambling game earlier that morning. Another 10 minutes of questioning, and he finally broke down.
Why didn't you tell us that to begin with? Believe me, I wanted to. I was scared. I was scared to death. I never had anything like this happen to me before. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to say.
All right, this is a complete list of everybody you saw there last night. Everybody who was in that game.
Well, yeah, I think it covers it. Well, let me see it.
All right, here you go.
Yeah, just about everybody. These are the only addresses you got, just these 3 here. Yeah, that's it. No, I'm not lying now, believe me. Those are the only ones I know of.
All right, so you had a hand in the game. You brought in the equipment. You were working for the house.
Yeah, that's right.
Then who's the boss, Mike? Who's running the game?
What about it? Who's running it? Look, I've told you everybody that was there, everybody. He wasn't there that night. He couldn't have had anything to do with it.
Mike, we didn't ask you that. We asked you who the boss is. What's his name? Now, how about it? We want his name.
But I told you he wasn't there last night. If he wasn't there, he couldn't have had anything to do with it. Look, he's a nice guy. He doesn't want trouble any more than I do. He couldn't tell you
You
anything.
let us figure that out, will you? Now, who's the boss, Mike?
Does it have to be? Is that important?
We wouldn't be asking you. Who is he?
George Delano. Now, that's all I know about him, his name.
How does he spell his last name? What's he look like?
Well, I guess it's Delano. I never saw him write it down, though. I've only known him about a month, maybe 5 weeks.
What's his description?
Well, he's taller than I am, about 5 feet 10, 11 maybe. Dark hair, a little bit on the heavy side. Like me, I guess. Man about 45, 50.
Where does he live? Where do we find him?
I don't know where he lives. Some hotel downtown, I think. The only times I ever met him was at a bar.
Which bar? Where about?
South end of town, down in Vermont. I don't know the address, but I can point it out to you. It's a couple doors down from a big bowling alley.
Right across from a theater, woman's dress shop next door.
Yeah, that's right. That's a place. The only place I've ever seen him. He always calls me at home and tells me where to meet him.
You mean to say you've been working for this Delano and you don't even know where he lives?
Well, I don't know what else to tell you. I'm squaring with you. I really don't know.
Friday, talk to you, man.
Yeah, Sam. I'll be right back now. What do you got, Sam?
Charlie Hart and I just got back from a place down on Gibbons Avenue, the store.
Yeah.
Thought you'd like to know. We found a gun in the back of the place hidden under a lumber pile.
Right. Did you check it out?
Yeah, I ran through gun records. It's registered.
What's the name?
George Delano.
7:38 a.m. With the new lead on the alleged boss of the gambling ring, George Delano, we interrupted our questioning of the suspect, Mike Filmer. We took him down the hall back to the homicide squad room to be held for further interrogation. We checked Delano through R&I, but we had no record on him. Then, along with Sergeant Sam Flowers and Charlie Hart of Homicide, we drove out to the address of George Delano as listed in the gun registration files. It was a small cottage in the Wilshire area. The woman who answered the door identified herself as Mrs. George Delano, the suspect's wife. She called her husband to the door. We identified ourselves, briefed him on the reason for our visit, and told him we wanted to talk to him downtown. He appeared cooperative, more than willing to come along. He got dressed. We drove him back to the city hall and took him to the interrogation room. He was well-dressed and, in his own way, well-mannered. After being told of the situation, he admitted freely that he'd been operating games at different locations throughout the city for the past month and a half. He told us that he'd employed Mike Filmer to assist him in his operations, and he also admitted ownership of the gun found near the murder scene. The gun had since been checked by Russ Camp and ballistics and found to be the murder weapon.
Well, yes, it's my gun, but I'd like to explain a little bit about it.
What's that, Delano?
Well, number one, I admit I'm a gambler. That's my racket. I'm new to Los Angeles. I even admit I've been working a few games, but I'm no murderer. I wouldn't have any part of it.
You said you were going to explain about the gun. Now, what about it?
Now, look, I'd like to fill you in on everything, officers. I got nothing to hide from you. I'll tell you everything.
Now?
When I first came to this town, as I say, it's been about 5-6 weeks, I made a few connections, and I started running these games. For the first couple of weeks, everything went fine. No beefs, everything was fine. All I had to do was dodge you fellas, and then the trouble started in.
How do you mean?
You mind if I have a smoke? I'm a little upset.
All right, go ahead.
You care for one?
No, thanks.
I want to fill you in from the start. I want to clear this whole thing up.
Yeah, that's what you said.
Yeah. Well, as I told you, the first few weeks, everything was fine. Then one night when the game was just about ready to break, a couple of punks came in, held us up. They cleaned everybody in the place, made a big haul.
When was this? Where did it happen?
Down on the east side. Punks took us for everything. You know how it is. I couldn't make a report to you. I just had to take it, cover the losses myself.
Yeah, now how about that gun?
I'm coming to it. This thing happens, and I figure that's the end of it. But no, a couple nights later, they hit again. I still can't squawk. I have to stand the losses. Another couple nights, they knock us over again. Couldn't do a thing about it. Losing money.
All right, we've heard all that. That's your racket. You can expect it. All we want to know is about that gun. Now, what's your story?
I told you I was coming to it. After the third time they reached us, I hired a guard. Somebody stand watch outside in case of another stick-up. It's the only thing I could do.
Yeah?
Well, so I hired some guy to stand guard on the games. Loaned him my gun in case there was any trouble.
And you told him to use it in case there was trouble.
Yeah, that's right.
How about a raid from the police? You tell him to use it for that?
No. Matter of fact, I made a point of telling him about that. All he was supposed to use the gun for was just to fire it up in the air, maybe scare those punks off and warn the guys inside at the same time.
We'll talk about that later, Delano. We want to know who had the gun last night.
Well, the guard did. I told you I loaned him the gun.
Who's the guard? What's his name? Where do we find him?
His name's Jake. A friend of mine got him for me. Let's see, Jake Gleason. That's it, Gleason.
Where's he live?
Couldn't tell you that. I don't know. I always contacted him at a bar in South Vermont, place I go quite a bit. Be a little too early to catch him there now.
What do you know about this Gleason? What's he look like?
I don't know. I haven't seen him much. I guess you'd say he's about 32, 33, kind of light brown hair, tall. Ex-con, I think. Either he told me or somebody told me he did time.
You knew he was an ex-con and you gave him your gun.
Well, yeah, but I didn't tell him to shoot anybody. I made a point of telling him that. A dumb jerk, especially shooting a cop. All he was supposed to do was fire up in the air if those punks came around, scare him away. To help me, that's the only time he was supposed to use the gun. I told him that.
Not much of a story, Delano. Can you prove it?
Sure, I can prove it. You can ask Mike Filmer. He'll tell you the same thing. You can ask Gleason himself. That dumb jerk. Mike said he wasn't too sharp, a little punchy, wasn't quite right in the head.
What's that?
I said he was a little punchy, he wasn't quite right in the head, Gleason.
You mean you met him in a bar? You didn't know anything about his background. You knew he was an ex-con. You had an idea he wasn't too sharp. Maybe he wasn't all there. Is that right?
Yeah, that's about it.
And you put this man in a spot where you knew he'd be in trouble, and then you gave him a gun. Is that right? How about it, Delano?
What are you looking at me for? I told the dumb jerk what to do. I didn't tell him to shoot anybody. Punch drunk boozer.
Yeah.
It's the truth. I didn't have a thing to do with it. I hired the guy, that's all. It's not my fault. What are you looking at? I wasn't even there. I didn't even know about it. I didn't kill that cop.
Didn't you? 9:23 a.m. We continued questioning George Delano. He told us that he'd instructed Jake Gleason, the ex-convict, to stand guard at the rear of the store where the gambling games were held. He insisted that his instructions to Gleason were that if he had to fire the gun at all, he was to fire it in the air, and then only as a warning signal in case of robbery attempt. Delano was detained by homicide officers pending further investigation. We checked the name and description of Jake Gleason through R&I and found his record and mug shot. We showed the mug to Delano, and he identified it. Gleason's record showed him to be on active parole. 10:30 a.m., we contacted the parole office. They gave us his address, and Bill and I checked it out, the second-rate hotel on South Flower Street. The manager told us Gleason had left the hotel about 7:45 that morning and that he was not expected back until after 6 o'clock that night. He also told us there was a chance we might locate him in one of the bars around the neighborhood. 10:45, we started making the rounds of the bars in the immediate vicinity. The third place we stopped at was practically deserted. The jukebox at the back of the place was turned up to full volume. There was a smell of disinfectant, whiskey, and stale perfume. There was one customer drinking at the far end of the bar. It was Gleason.
Stand up, Gleason. Police officers.
All right. Shake him down, Bill.
Clean, Joe.
All right. Hands in back of you.
Yeah.
You want to kill that jukebox, Bill?
Yeah.
All right, you know why we want you.
Yeah, I know. Knew there wasn't any sense running. I knew you'd be around. All right, let's go. Could you do me a favor? I mean, wait a minute, just a minute.
Yeah?
Just like to tell you I didn't mean it. I guess it's my own fault. I shot him. I shouldn't have had the gun, shouldn't have taken the job. I shot him. I didn't mean it.
All right, come on.
There ought to be a way, don't you think? I mean, there really ought to be a way.
What's that?
I didn't mean it. No reason to kill him. I didn't even know him. I just keep thinking there's only a way if I could take it back again, you know?
Yeah, we know.
I mean, if I could go back and change it, make it all different. I mean, right from the beginning, I wouldn't even look at a gun. I'd change everything. You bet I would. I wouldn't even look at a gun. If only had the chance, you know? Second chance. There ought to be a way, second chance.
You started with a gun, Jake.
Yeah?
You never had a first one.
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On May 22nd, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 88, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
And now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Friends, Fatima gives you more for your money because no other king-size cigarette can match Fatima quality. Because Fatima's length filters and cools the smoke for your protection. Gives you those extra puffs, 21% longer than standard cigarette size. I'm convinced that you'll agree with me once you try them. Get a pack of Fatimas next time you buy cigarettes. Fatima, an extra mild and soothing smoke. Best of all, king-size cigarette.
Jacob Allen Gleason was tried and convicted of murder in the first degree and was sentenced to a life term in the state penitentiary. George Delano, Mike Filmer, and all other principals were found guilty of violating the municipal code 43.01, gambling, and received sentences as prescribed by law. George Delano and Mike Filmer were sentenced to 6-month terms in the county jail. Others received proportionate sentences.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. James Fox, director on the executive board of the Mystery Writers of America.
Tonight it is with a great deal of pleasure that I, speaking for the entire membership of the Mystery Writers of America in all fields, present the Edgar Allan Poe Award for the second consecutive year for the finest radio presentation in its class, Dragnet. To you, Jack Webb, and your fine group of technicians responsible for the overall production of Dragnet, we present this statuette of one of the immortals in the field of mystery, Edgar Allan Poe.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fox, and thanks also to the membership of the Mystery Writers of America.
And standing by to receive his award, also for the second consecutive year, as the outstanding radio writer in his field, and for the consistent job he does on Dragnet, Jim Moser. Here is your statuette.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fox.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's seldom indeed when the writer of any radio show receives his just and due acclaim. It's with the greatest of pleasure that we accept the Edgar Allan Poe Awards, as it is primarily a writer's award. All of us who have had a hand in bringing Dragnet into your homes each week are proud of our writer, Jim Moser. For as anyone in radio will readily go on record by saying and knowing that you're only as good as the script you read. So it's with deep gratitude that we receive the MWA Award, which best illustrates and confirms the high opinion which we all hold of our writer, Jim Moser.
Thank you, Jack, and I'd like to express my special appreciation to our technical advisors from the Los Angeles Police Department, without whom none of this would be possible.
You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Brasher. Heard tonight were Martin Milner, Eddie Firestone, Whit Connor. Script by Jim Moser. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all king-size cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Now, it's Counter Spy on NBC.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to read a telegram we just received. Final ballot tabulation shows Dragnet has won Michael Award for Best Radio and also for Best Television Mystery Program in 1952. 20,090 qualified members participated in nominations and final ballot. Congratulations and best wishes. Ed Bobley, President, Academy of Radio and Television Arts and Sciences. The story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all king-size cigarettes, brings you Dragnet on both radio and television.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned a robbery detail. A United States mail truck is held up and robbed. 22 sacks of registered mail are taken. The holdup men escape. There's no lead to their identity. Your job? Get them. Compare Fatima with any other king-size cigarette.
Yes, compare Fatima with any other king-size cigarette.
1. Fatima's length filters the smoke 85 millimeters for your protection.
2. Fatima's length cools the smoke for your protection.
3. Fatima's length gives you those extra puffs, 21% longer than standard cigarette size.
Fatima gives you more for your money.
And in king-size Fatima, you get an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality. Buy Fatima in the bright, sunny yellow pack. Best of all, king-size cigarettes.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Monday, August 4th. It was hot in Los Angeles. We were working the night watch out of robbery detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Didion. My name's Friday. I was on the way back from communications, and it was 11:05 p.m. when I got to room 27A, the squad room.
That's it. There wasn't anything else to do. One of them had a gun pressed right up against the back of my head. I didn't dare make a move.
All right, Bud, take it easy. Joe?
Nothing yet. The broadcast and the APB are out on him. How you feeling, Houston?
Not bad. Still a little shaky. How about my partners, Frank and Adolph? Are they hurt bad?
No, a couple of bad bumps in the head. They'll be all right by morning. Doctor's treating him now over at Georgia Street.
Can we talk to him tonight?
Doctor doesn't think it'd be a good idea. We can wait till morning. You look a little pale, Houston. You sure we can't get you something?
No, I'll be all right. Still a little shaky, that's all. It's the worst scare I ever got in my life. Thought I was gone for sure.
How about a glass of water?
Yeah, okay, if you got it.
You bet. You got a penny, Frank?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Just talking about the getaway car when you came in, Joe.
Yeah.
Look, Houston here is pretty sure he was right the first time. It was a dark blue sedan, late model.
Mm-hmm. Any idea at all what make it was, Bud?
I wouldn't like to say definitely. I don't want to mix you up. I got half an idea it was a GM car, maybe a Buick or an Olds. I can't say for sure, though.
Well, here's your water.
Oh.
You didn't get a look at the license, huh? You sure of that, are you?
No, I didn't see it at all. The whole thing went too fast for me.
Uh-huh.
I appreciate this.
I got it. Robbery, Smith. Yes, sir. Oh, yeah, Inspector. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I see. Yeah, we'll be here for a while. Yeah, 27A. Right, thank you. Goodbye.
You got it.
Post Inspector Joe. He's on his way over now.
That's fine. Hey, Bud, when you started your run with that mail truck tonight, you have any inkling at all that there was something wrong?
I don't think I got you, Sergeant. What do you mean?
Well, I mean, did you happen to notice anyone suspicious hanging around the post office out by the loading platform, maybe? Something?
No, buddy.
How about on your way to the Union Station? You notice any cars following your mail truck there?
No, if they were, I think I'd have noticed it. I usually keep an eye out when we're making a run. It's a habit I got into, I guess.
How long you been driving a mail truck, Bud?
About 5 years. I've only been handling the registered mail the last couple of months, so.
Did your truck leave the post office on schedule tonight?
Yeah, right on the dot. We followed the other trucks out. You see, the trucks that pick up the ordinary mail, they leave first, and then our truck leaves right after them. We only handle registered stuff.
I see.
The same routine tonight, no different.
You were the driver of the truck, that right, Bud?
Yeah, that's all I do is drive. Frank's the clerk, Adolph's the guard. That's regulations. On trucks that handle just the straight mail, the driver's the only one aboard. Registered mail trucks got to have 3 men, the driver, the clerk, and the guard.
Yeah, we know. You usually drive the same route from the post office to the Union Station, do you?
Yeah, we go the same way every night, straight down Temple Street. Turn right and go down Ferguson to Alameda, then over Alameda to Union Station. Make the pickup or the delivery, and then we come back the same way to the post office.
That's the route you followed tonight, huh?
Yes, sir, that's it. Only we didn't make it back this time.
I'd like to make sure we got this straight now, Bud. Do you mind checking us out on exactly what happened from the time you got to the Union Station?
No, I don't mind.
Well, try to relax if you can. Just take your time. Try to remember everything, will you?
Say, would you mind very much if I called my wife first? I know I'm going to be late getting home. I don't want her to worry.
You bet. Go right ahead, Bud.
What's your number? I'll dial it.
Thanks. It's Pleasant 29321.
Okay.
You got a family, Bud?
Yeah, 3 kids. Mother-in-law, too. She lives with us.
Here you are, Bud.
Oh, thanks. Lorraine? Oh, hi, Mother. Did I get you out of bed? No, nothing's wrong. I just called to say I'd be a little late tonight. I didn't want Lorraine to worry. No place? Oh, I'm not in a bar. Why do you have to say things like that? If that's the way you feel, all right. Just tell Lorraine, will you? Hello? Mother-in-law, I never get off your back. Sorry to interrupt, officer.
It's all right, Bud. You want to go ahead now?
Let's see. You wanted to know what happened after we left Union Station?
Yeah, that's right. What time was it when you left the station?
Right after we loaded the mail sacks on the truck, 28 sacks, all registered. We took off.
What time was that?
Scheduled time, 9:56. Left the station, headed for the P.O., drove the same route, along Alameda to Ferguson, then up Ferguson. As soon as I turned the corner, I picked up their headlights in the rearview mirror. Then they started crowding us. I knew something was wrong. Too late to do anything then.
They pulled up alongside, forced you into the curbs,
Yeah, the darkest part of the street, too. It was a big sedan, I know that, a 4-door job. Dark blue, and it was a late model, I'm sure.
You notice anything special about the car, Bud? I mean, maybe a dented fender, some special accessories on it, anything like that?
No, nothing I'd be sure of. I was too busy trying to keep going, get out of their way. I didn't have much of a chance. They forced us up on the sidewalk. I saw a telephone pole coming at me. I had to stop.
What happened then?
They threw a bright spotlight on us, blinded me for a minute. And these 3 men got out of the car and came at us, guns in their hands. It all happened in a couple of seconds. I was never so scared in my life.
Did you get a good look at any of the men?
No, I didn't. It was pretty dark. The place they stopped us at. I couldn't be sure I'd recognize any of them if I saw them again.
Well, what'd the men do when they came up to the truck?
Put their guns in our face, made us get out of the truck and climb into their car, the blue sedan. And one of them got in the mail truck behind the wheel. His name was Sid. I heard that. One of the men said, "Follow us in the truck, Sid. You know where to go." That's what he said.
You happen to hear any other names?
No, that was the only one. And Sid seemed to be the boss. He was giving the orders anyway.
They put you and your 2 partners in the back seat of their car?
Yeah, and the 2 thieves were in the front seat. One drove and the other held a gun on us. He kept the lower part of his face covered with a handkerchief. You could see the mail truck following a little ways behind us.
Mm-hmm. They drove you straight down Alameda, is that right?
Yes, sir. Like I told you before, I think it was about a mile and a half. And they turned off right into that alley by the warehouse, same place you found me.
Mm-hmm.
I figured that was the end. They got us out of the car, Frank and me and Adolph. Made us line up against a brick wall there, hands up in the air, facing the wall, and then they opened up the back of the truck and transferred the mail sacks to their car.
Well, any conversation while all this was going on?
Not too much, no. You see, one of them, I think that was Sid. He covered us with a gun, a shotgun. The other 2 moved the mail sacks from the truck to the car, and every once in a while the Sid would tell them, "Come on faster, we're short on time." I think that's what he said.
Well, why'd they slug your 2 partners, this Frank and Adolph? Any reason for
I
that?
was coming to that. You see, when they got all the mail sacks in their car and they were ready to pull out, the other 2 guys came over to Sid, and one of them said, "What are we waiting for? Let's kill him and get out of here."
Yeah?
Right away, our clerk, Frank, he began pleading with him not to kill us. I guess Frank was thinking of his wife and his little kid.
Mm-hmm. How'd the thieves react?
Well, they slugged him, cracked him with a gun, and hit him a couple of times. Frank went down. He started crying. Just a young kid, you know.
Yeah, we know.
Well, this other guy told Sid again. He said, "Come on, let's kill him. Let's get out of here." He's the one who had something wrong with his voice. It was real husky, you know, like he had a cold.
Uh-huh. Go ahead.
Well, I got to say, this Sid wasn't much for killing us. He told the other guy he didn't think they ought to kill us because they'd set him up for a murder rap besides mail robbery. The other 2 guys told Sid, "What's the difference? If we're going to rob the mails, we might as well go all the way." And they argued about it a minute or so.
Yeah.
And my other partner, Adolph, he began to plead with him. He said, "Please don't kill us." I was sick to my stomach. I couldn't even talk.
What'd you say?
I said I was sick to my stomach. I couldn't even talk.
Is that when they slugged Adolph?
Yeah. This Sid slugged him. He hit him worse than he did Frank. He kept beating him and beating him. I still hear it. I just got sick. Well, make a long story short, this Sid finally said, "We'll give him a gambler's chance. We'll toss for it."
Hmm?
That's just what he said. He said, "We'll toss for it." And he says, "Hey, you." And he motioned to me. He said, "I'm going to toss a coin. You call it. If you lose, we kill the 3 of you. If you win, we don't."
Yeah.
So help me, it's the truth. I didn't know what to do. I tried to talk them out of it.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't listen. The Sid told me either I called it or they'd kill us then. Took a coin out of his pocket and flipped it in the air. I called heads. Guess I don't have to tell you. I won.
Something new for the book.
How'd it go after that, Bud?
Tied up the three of us and drove off in their car. About 15 minutes later, that night watchman found us and called you fellas. You know the rest.
And you're sure you wouldn't be able to identify any of the hold-up men if you saw them again?
No.
You're real sure?
No, their general build, that's the only thing I'm sure of. This fellow Sid was tall on the thin side, about 45, 50 years old. The other two were fairly short and stocky. Like I told you, that one fellow's voice, deep and husky, I think I'd know him if I heard him talk again.
Excuse me a minute. Robbery Friday. Yeah, Walt. How's it going? Uh-huh. Yeah, not much doubt. All right. Fine. Yeah, fine. The getaway car, they just found it.
Where'd you?
Up in Elysian Park, just off Riverside.
What about the mail sacks? They find them, too?
Yeah, every one of them. Empty. According to the report we'd received, the getaway car was found parked in a clump of shrubbery on the edge of Elysian Park, about half a mile from Riverside Drive. All of the 28 registered mail sacks were found scattered in and around the car, and with the exception of a few pieces of mail, the sacks were empty. A crew from the crime lab was dispatched immediately to the scene to check the car and the mail sacks for fingerprints and to cover the entire area for physical evidence. The mail truck was also gone over for prints at the point where it had been located. The officers at the scene, Sergeants Bitteroff and Gonzalez, continued the investigation on their end. 11:50 p.m. After the inspector from the post office department arrived, we continued our interview with Bud Houston, one of the three victims of the mail truck robbery. We ended the interview a few minutes after midnight, and Houston was driven to his home. The following morning, along with the postal inspector, Frank Smith and I talked to the other two victims, the clerk and the guard who were with Houston at the time of the holdup. They could add nothing to what their partner had already told us. The investigation went on. Every possible angle was checked and rechecked. 3 days passed. Nothing. Thursday, August 7th, 5:40 p.m.
Hi, Joe. How'd you make out?
Oh, it's sour. Nothing at all. The guy wasn't even in town the night of the holdup, and he can prove it. Do you have any luck?
No better than yours.
I might just as well have taken the day off for all the good we did. Nothing from the stats office, huh?
No. Last one we asked for won't be ready till tomorrow. It's getting a little embarrassing, Joe. We got them checking practically every robbery card they've got. M.O. description, only a few of them come close. We've already ruled them out as possible. The one you just checked on, that was the last.
About does it. Might as well close up shop for the day, huh? You ready?
Yeah, let's go.
All right.
I'll sign us out.
All right.
Okay, Joe. Now, that mail truck driver, Houston, he and his partners were in checking through our mug books again this afternoon.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Did they come up with anything?
Well, they spotted one mug shot, parolee from Quentin, only a partial ident. 3 of them couldn't even agree on that. I checked on the man. He's back in Quentin for a month.
I can't say the 3 of them aren't cooperative. They've sure been working for us, haven't they?
Hey, Joe, you in a hurry? How about washing up?
Yeah, all right.
Been a long time since we've had one start as slow as this one.
Yeah, you're running the worst, Frank.
Oh, I mean right from the start, Joe. We find the getaway car, plenty of prints on it. Can't get a make on any of them.
Yeah, no.
Find out the car was stolen. We check the owner. Location leads nowhere. Prints on the steering wheel of the mail truck, parts of the mail sack, still no make. How tough can it get?
Well, they might have something when their kickback comes through from Washington. The hold-up men weren't amateurs. We know that.
Joe, you checked with Gonzalez and Bitteroff today. I didn't see him.
Yeah, they're not doing much better than the rest of us. They got an informant hot on the thing. He's supposed to have some word for him tomorrow and a couple of possibles.
Say, how about the money taken from the mail they got? List of the serial numbers on the bills going out to everybody?
Yeah, revised list went out late last night. Copies sent all over the country.
Right?
Yeah, Mac, we're in here.
Call for him, Squad. It says in the
Okay, thanks. We'll be right there. Okay?
Let's go.
All right.
Hope this call means something, Joe. Wouldn't mind going late tonight.
What do you mean?
My sister-in-law, Florence, she's having me and the wife over for dinner, some kind of fancy pork dish.
What's the matter with that?
She never cooks anything until it's done. She likes things raw.
Oh, that's all?
Imagine what that roast pork's going to be like. We'll all end up with trichinosis.
Yeah. Go ahead. Mac? Which one, Mac?
1, 2, Joe.
Thank you. Friday talking. Yeah. Oh, yeah, John. Mm-hmm. Okay, fine. About 20 minutes. 20 minutes, yeah. Right, thank you.
Anything, Joe?
Wilshire detectives. They got a petty theft suspect out there now named Cecil Grant. Picked him up this morning.
What about him?
Well, he had a $20 bill on him stuffed down in the corner of his pocket.
Yeah?
They checked out the serial number. It's on the list. 6:05 p.m. Frank and I got in the car and drove out to Wilshire Station, where we double-checked the serial numbers on the $20 bill taken from the petty theft suspect, Cecil Grant. It checked out. The officers at Wilshire Division had already made a run on Grant through R&I, but outside of one other arrest for petty theft, he had no further criminal record. His fingerprints had been checked, but they failed to tie in. The suspect was taken from his cell to the interrogation room where Bill and I questioned him. He talked a lot, but he didn't say much.
Well, now, look, there ain't any reason to get mad. We can settle this thing without a big rhubarb. No reason to get mad.
28 sacks of U.S. mail, mister. A couple of men slugged till they couldn't stand up. We figure that's a good reason.
All right. I know. Why bring your troubles to me? I wasn't in on it.
You got a piece of the loot, a $20 bill. You had it in your pocket. You admit it's yours.
All right, so what?
The holdup's still fresh. It ties you in close, Cecil. You're warm enough for us.
What do you mean? What are you getting at?
You don't need me to explain it. You got a piece of the loot. You say the bill must have been in your pocket for at least a day.
That's right.
Then it's a good chance you were in contact with the thieves. Either that or you're one of them.
I'm not. You know that. Couldn't have been there. I got an alibi.
Now, face it, Grant. You're not going to alibi that $20 bill. Now, how about it?
I don't know. I told you I don't know.
If it's not your job, you better check us out, Cecil. Robbing the U.S. mail. I think you know what that gets you.
I don't know. Money was in my pocket. I just don't know.
25 years, 30, maybe 35. If you're not in, why fool with it? How about it, Cecil?
I'm not in. You know that.
Then what about the 20? What about it?
Well, this is the way it happened. Guy owed me a 20. Owed it to me for 6 months, maybe more. Tuesday he came around, paid off. Gave me that bill you got.
This last Tuesday?
That's right. Thought it was funny, but he's a nice guy. I didn't want to make trouble.
How do you mean?
Well, when he paid me the 20 back, he said, well, look, the bill isn't phony, but don't let it out for a couple of days. Bill's okay, but just sit on it, maybe a week or two. That's just what he told me.
Who was it? Where did we find him?
Well, he's a nice guy, friend. I don't want to make trouble.
It's already made. Now, what about it?
Johnny Carter, 380 Nashville Avenue, apartment 2.
You are listening to Dragnet, authentic stories of your police force in action.
Because of its quality, Fatima is the one king-size cigarette that stands out. Here's the practical way to prove that yourself.
Compare Fatima with any other king-size cigarette.
1. Fatima's length filters the smoke 85 millimeters for your protection.
2. Fatima's length cools the smoke for your protection.
3. Fatima's length gives you those extra puffs, 21% longer than standard cigarette size.
Fatima gives you more for your money.
And in king-size Fatima, you get an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality.
Because of its quality, its extra mildness, and superbly blended tobaccos, more and more smokers coast to coast are switching to Fatima every day.
Buy Fatima. Your money back plus postage if you're not convinced Fatima is better than the king-size cigarette you're now smoking.
Just return the pack and the unsmoked Fatimas by August 1st, 1952. Fatima, Box 37, New York 1.
Add to your smoking enjoyment. Smoke king-size Fatima, extra mild and soothing, plus the added protection of Fatima quality. Get Fatima in the bright, sunny yellow pack. Best of all, king-size cigarettes.
August 7th, Thursday, 6:55 p.m. We called R&I, but they had no make on the name John Carter. My partner, Frank Smith, and I left Wilshire Division and headed out to check on the address given us by the theft suspect, Cecil Grant. The 300 block on Nashville Avenue was in West Hollywood, just below Melrose. Number 380 was an aging two-story apartment house. The architecture was old Spanish, a relic of the mid-20s. The name John Carter appeared on one of the mailboxes, but when we rang, there was no answer. We contacted the apartment manager, and he told us John Carter worked at night at a downtown garage. Along with the manager, we went up to the second floor and checked through the suspect's apartment. We found nothing to indicate that he'd taken part in the mail holdup. After a routine interview with the manager, we got the name and address of the garage where Carter was employed, and we left. 8:23 p.m. We pulled up and parked half a block away from Carter's place of employment, an all-night service garage on South Figueroa. Frank waited in the car, and I headed up the block alone toward the garage. In the event Carter was one of the mail truck holdup men, there was a possibility his two Confederates might be employed at the same place he was. If this was the case, we didn't want to tip him off. Hi.
Yeah. You want something?
Yeah, I do. I need a little help if you got the time.
I don't know. I'm busy right now. What's the matter?
I got my car stalled down the street there. I can't figure out what's wrong. The lousy thing just stopped on me.
All right. Check the gas tank?
Yeah, nothing as simple as that. I got almost a full tank. Well, I hate to bother you. You think you could come down and take a look at it? It's not far, just a half a block down the street.
I'm pretty busy. You can see that. I don't know.
Sure appreciate it if you give it a look. I'm not much of a mechanic myself. Probably something real small. My car's almost new.
I don't know. Just a minute. All right, that's going to have to do. It's $2.50 service charge. I have to leave the garage. I guess you know that.
Okay, that's all right with me. I got to get that car started.
You pay in advance. We've had too many hassles on this before.
Okay. There you go.
Yeah, okay. Just down the street, you said?
Yeah, down this way.
Okay.
I don't know what happened to the lousy thing. It just quit on me.
Nice night. What'd you do, pound on the gas pedal, flood the carburetor?
No, I don't think so. I kept trying the starter when the thing quit on me. There's an automatic choke on the car, though. Maybe that had flooded. I don't know.
A half a block now. Which one's your car?
Straight ahead there, the gray sedan.
Oh, yeah.
This one right here.
Okay, get the hood open.
Well, never mind that, mister. Just get in the car. All right, Frank.
Oh, what's this?
Police officers, here's our identification. Get in the car.
What's the matter? What is it?
Come on, in the car.
Hey, what's the pitch? What's it all about?
Your name, John Carter, address 380 Nashville Avenue?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Is that your name and address?
All right, it is. What about it?
Get him behind you. Help him, Frank.
Yeah.
All right, that's good.
What are you trying to pull? What's this about?
U.S. mail robbery, Carter. I want to talk to you downtown.
I don't know anything about any mail robbery. What are you talking about?
Nothing to worry over. If you're cleared, you'll be back on the job in an hour.
Well, why pick me? I work at garage. That's my bread and butter. Why don't you go ahead and arrest the newsboy down corner? Same thing.
No, there's a big difference.
Yeah, you name it.
A $20 bill. 9:05 p.m. After checking with the garage manager to make sure none of his employees were possible accomplices of Carter's, we drove the suspect back to the city hall, took him to the interrogation room, and started to question him. In the space of an hour and a half, he gave us 3 alibis, supposedly accounting for his whereabouts the night of the mail truck robbery. In the same period of time, we checked out each of the 3 alibis by phone calls. Every one of them was a lie. The questioning went on. 11:30, midnight, 12:30 a.m. We sent out for coffee. 1 a.m., 1:30. We stayed on it. 2 o'clock, 2:30, 3 a.m. It was like any other interrogation. It's a lot tougher to keep asking the questions than to answer them. We were as tired as the suspect, but he had one big advantage. We had to keep pressing, and we couldn't afford to show our fatigue. All he had to do was to say no and refuse to answer the questions. At a few minutes before 5 a.m., we called a halt to the interrogation, but not before we gained a point. Apparently, by a slip of the tongue, Carter gave us the name of the girl he was keeping company with and also her place of employment. After we booked Carter on suspicion of 211 PC, and after we picked up 2 hours' sleep, we located the girlfriend, a Grace Nelson, at her place of employment, a telegraph office at Alpine and South Flower.
All I know is I met John about 3 months ago. His family's from Cedar Rapids, same as mine. There's nothing wrong with John I know of.
You know any of his friends, Miss Nelson, any good people he has dealings with?
Not personally, I don't. Heard him talk about some, though. Why, what's the matter?
Do you remember any of the names, Miss Nelson?
Let's see. He's always talking about Sid. I don't know his last name, though. Don't know where you'd find him. And then there's Sammy. Don't remember his last name either. Met Sammy once, but don't know where he stays.
Do you notice anything unusual about Mr. Carter the last week or so, ma'am? I mean, anything peculiar, anything out of the ordinary?
Anything peculiar? No, I don't think so. John's been just as nice as ever to me. I like him very much. Matter of fact, he's been nicer than he's ever been.
How do you mean, miss?
Well, for my birthday, last Wednesday.
Yeah.
Well, he was so sweet about it. Really sweet. He gave me $400. Gave it to me in cash. Told me to go out and buy what I wanted. Wouldn't you say that's sweet?
Have you any of that money left, Miss Nelson?
Why, yes, of course I have. See, right here in my purse. See, right there. More than half of it.
Carter tell you where he got this money, Miss Nelson?
Gambling game. He said he wanted the cards. What's wrong?
Serial numbers, ma'am. This money was taken in a holdup, U.S. mail. We've got a pretty good reason to suspect Carter.
You mean John's a thief? That's how he got the money? I can't believe it.
Afraid it's true, ma'am.
So hard to believe. I hope you don't think I had anything to do with it. Robbing people, mails. Are you sure it's John Carter you want?
Yes, ma'am, we're pretty sure. We understand you were pretty close to him. He said the two of you were going to get married.
I don't know. We did have it said at one time, but no, I don't know. I have people in this town, my whole family. I couldn't let this get out, no.
You're willing to admit the $400 you got came from John Carter, the same bills that he gave him to you?
I don't know. I I love John. I want to hurt him. I really love him. Tell me the truth. What's going to happen?
Well, he's going to be charged with robbery, ma'am, holding up a U.S. mail truck, taking 28 sacks of registered mail.
John? John Carter?
That's right, him and two others. I'd like to ask you one more question, miss. Do you have any idea what Carter was up to? The robbery, I mean?
Me? Of course not. No idea at all. I love John. I loved him for what I thought he was. Go through anything for him. I love him. Just wouldn't make any sense, though, would it?
Ma'am?
Going to jail for him. Just common sense. You can't love anybody that much.
That afternoon, we had the suspect, John Carter, brought from his cell to the interrogation room where he was confronted with the testimony of both Cecil Grant and Grace Nelson, two of the people he'd given some of the stolen money to. Another hour of interrogation, and Carter broke. He admitted taking part in the holdup and gave us the name of his partner. He named as the leader and mastermind of the robbery a Sidney Grover, at an address in Highland Park. Frank and I checked it out.
Yeah?
Police officers, you Sidney Grover?
Yeah. I'm not feeling so well. Can't you come back later? Not feeling well at all.
It's kind of important, Grover. I'd like to talk to you downtown.
Come back later, huh? A little later on. I got so many troubles right now. Please.
I'd like to talk to you about a holdup, Grover, a mail truck. We got the two men who worked it for you. They gave us the whole story.
Two men? What do you mean? Can't you see I got troubles? Please don't bother me. Come back later, huh? Bad trouble.
You better get your coat, Grover. Got to talk to you downtown.
Look, don't you understand? My son's left me. My only boy. He packed his bag. He walked out. He left me.
Afraid that's your problem, mister.
He said he didn't want any part of me. He had an argument. He didn't like what I was doing. Big argument. He slapped my face, my own boy, and he walked out. Slapped my face.
All right, you want to get your coat?
Yeah, okay. Mail job, is that it? Got the other two?
Yeah, we got them.
All right, no argument. I didn't try to run away. I guess you can see that. My boy said I was a crook. We argued. He slapped me, walked out. How come, Sergeant?
I wouldn't know. Let's go, Grover.
It's a sour story, huh? Old man trying a mail robbery. I'm 55. I don't look it, do I? Kid slapped my face. He said I was a crook. I couldn't hit him back, my only boy. Wish he hadn't called me a crook. Pretty sour story, isn't it?
Yeah, it's sour. Let's go.
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On November 29th, trial was held in Superior Court, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Friends, there's one thing I'd like you to remember the next time you buy cigarettes. Fatimas give you more for your money. That's because no other king-size cigarette can match Fatima quality, and because Fatima is 21% longer than standard cigarette size. That added length means that Fatima's extra mild and soothing smoke is cooled and filtered for your protection. Get a pack tomorrow and compare them with the cigarette you've been smoking. Fatima, best of all, king-size cigarette.
Sidney Allen Grover, along with his two accomplices, John Harold Carter and Samuel Maxwell Johnson, were tried and convicted of robbery in the first degree, 1 count, and assault with a deadly weapon, 1 count. All three are serving their terms in the state penitentiary. First-degree robbery is punishable by imprisonment from 5 years to life. Assault with a deadly weapon is punishable by imprisonment for not less than 1, nor more than 10 years. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors, Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Frazier. Heard tonight were Herb Ellis, Vic Perrin, Inga Hollis. Script by Jim Moser. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all king-size cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles. Now, it's Counter Spy on NBC. The story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all king-size cigarettes, brings you Dragnet on both radio and television.
detective sergeant. You're assigned to Wilshire Division, Vice Detail. An informant sends you word about an extortion racket going on in your area. The victim, a bookmaker. The suspect, a police officer. Your job, check it out. Compare Fatima with any other king-size cigarette.
Yes, compare Fatima with any other king-size cigarette.
1. Fatima's length filters the smoke 85 millimeters for your protection.
2. Fatima's length cools the smoke for your protection.
3. Fatima's length gives you those extra puffs, 21% longer than standard cigarette size.
Fatima gives you more for your money.
And in king-size Fatima, you get an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality. Buy Fatima in the bright, sunny yellow pack. Best of all, king-size cigarettes.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Tuesday, October 18th. It was hot in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of Wilshire Division, Vice Detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Hayes. My name's Friday. We were on the way downtown from the office, and it was 9:35 a.m. when we got to the felony section of the main jail, the interview room.
Sit down, Mr. Lawrence.
Thanks.
Got your message when we checked in this morning. What's it about?
Well, I finally made up my mind. I've had enough of this. Say, either one of you got a cigarette? I left mine back in the cell.
Yeah, sure. Here you are, Lawrence.
Oh, thanks.
You bet. Here's a match for you. Now, what's the story? What's on your mind?
Well, I've been thinking about it most of the night. I didn't get very much sleep. So you remember yesterday? I mean, when you arrested me?
Yeah.
Well, it's just like I told you then. I'm not trying to kid anybody. I admit it. I've been taking a few bets. It wasn't any big operation, though. You know, they're just laying off a few bets for my friends, people in the neighborhood.
We know all that, Lawrence. We went through that yesterday, didn't we?
Yeah, I know. I just wanted to make sure we got it straight. We aren't any big operators. We just ran the bookmaking as a, sideline.
Mm-hmm.
Business hasn't been too good lately. Had to make it up somehow.
Sorry, Lawrence. We can't feel bad about it. You were tagged for making book before. You should have learned your lesson.
Oh, I know. And I'm not singing the blues. I'm not trying to alibi. I didn't call you down here for that.
Well, then, what's this all about?
Well, like I told you, I've been thinking about it a lot. I didn't sleep hardly at all last night. I finally made up my mind, though. I'm going to get it off my chest if it kills me.
All right, what's that?
I'm no stoolie. I don't want to get anybody in trouble, but there's one thing I believe in, and that's playing it square, no matter what you do. Just like now, Sergeant, I ain't beating about the arrest. You know that.
What do you get, Matt? What do you want to tell us?
Oh, all right. Here it is. You know what the record is. I stood a pinch for bookmaking a year and a half ago. I got the thing all squared away, and it came back to my business. I learned my lesson. I didn't want any more trouble, so I laid off the books.
All right, fill us in. What about this policeman?
I'm getting to it. Just a minute. Say, I'm sorry. You run the cigarette, please. I'm a little jumpy this morning.
Yeah, Lawrence, sure you.
Thanks. Oh, thanks a lot. Well, like I was saying, when I cleared up the last beef, I forgot all about the horses. I was off them for good. The wife made me promise. I wouldn't have anything more to do with them. We'd just run the business, live on what we made, and we'd get along fine.
All right, go ahead.
Everything was going fine, too. Business wasn't too good, but we made out. Then the trouble started.
Yeah.
My oldest boy, that's Harry Jr.
Mm-hmm.
He had an accident on the job, and he broke his hip. I had to help his family out while he was in the hospital. Like I say, the business wasn't making too much money, but we made out, though.
No.
Then,
Go ahead.
Yeah, well, then just as soon as Harry got well, the wife came down. Gallbladder. She had to have an operation. Really cost money,
Yeah.
Well, wife was resting at home. She didn't come down to the store. I started with the books again, just taking a few bets on the side, just a few.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really want to do it. Just one of those things, I didn't have anybody to go to. The bills had to be paid.
Where does this policeman fit into it, this Ray Williams?
Well, I'm just coming to it.
No.
Well, he came in the store. He said he wanted to make a bet. I didn't know him from Adam, so I played careful, you know. I told him I wasn't making books. And then he said he was a good friend of Myra's. Myra, that's a gal who runs a beauty parlor on Crenshaw. She used to make books, but she isn't now.
Yeah, we know the spot.
Well, when he said that he knew Myra, I figured it was all right, so I took the bet. That's when it started. As soon as he makes the bet, he comes out and says he's a cop working for Vice. I thought he was just kidding. Then he flashes this identification.
What kind of identification?
Badge?
What kind of a badge?
Well, I don't know. Just a badge. Looked all right.
All right, have a look. This one here, was it like this one?
I don't know. I didn't get too good a look at it. It might have been something like that. I don't know.
You ask for any other identification? You volunteer to show you any?
No, I didn't ask for any. I was scared. I just figured I was arrested again, that's all. He seemed to know all about the first pinch. I stood for making book. He told me that I'd been operating for about a month and a half. He said he had his eye on me.
Mm-hmm. What did he do after he told you he was a policeman?
Well, I started explaining to him how the thing shaped up when I was making books again, how I had to pay up those doctor bills. I tried to beg off. I told him that I'd quit right now. Then he turns around and tells me I don't have to.
What do you mean?
Well, that's just what he said. He didn't make sense to me either. Then he went on, he told me I was operating in his district. He said it'd be okay if I went right along the way I was. He felt that I didn't stand any pinches.
Yes, sir. What else did he say?
Well, he said he wasn't the only one who'd have to be taken care of. He said that was his partner. And then a couple of guys over him, they'd have to be taken care of, too. He said the juice would cost me $100 a week. I tried to explain to him that.
Yeah.
Well, I told him that I wasn't operating big. I was just on the side. I said I wasn't making that much a week. All I was doing is about 50. That's all, just 50. Then he said, "Well," he says, "all right, if that's the way you feel about it, then I'll just take you down, book you now."
Mm-hmm.
Well, I told him I didn't want to stand the pinch again, and I'd do the best that I could. So he finally said, "I'll give you 2 weeks to go ahead and open this thing up." He said I'd have to do more business because the juice was just going to cost me $100 a week. He didn't care how I got it.
This policeman told you to go ahead and open up, huh? For $100 a week, you could go ahead and make book and nobody bother you.
Yeah.
Did your wife ever see this policeman, this fellow Williams?
Yes, she saw him. She saw him a couple of times. She saw me give him the money. Mm-hmm.
Well, when did all this start?
About the 1st of July. Paid him $100 every week since then. See, I'm almost glad you fellas picked me up, understand. He was running me to the ground. He had me in a bind.
You say the man's name was Ray Williams, is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
You said he had a partner. Did you ever see him?
No, I never did.
Did Williams ever come in with anybody? Did you ever see him with anybody?
Well, no. No matter of fact, I never did. One time I asked him who his partner was. He says none of my business.
What kind of a car does he drive?
I don't know. Never came to my place in a car. He always walked. He came on foot.
Do you know anything else about him? Where's he live?
I don't know. He never told me. He never told me anything, you see? Nothing. Once I asked him what station he was working out of, who his boss was. He got a little hard with me. He told me not to get nosy, not to ask so many questions.
Is there anything else you can tell us about Williams? Maybe where he hangs out, people he knows? Anything you figure will help us?
Well, he works out Wilshire. You ought to know him.
Ray Williams.
Yeah, Ray Williams. The policeman.
Not in my book. Frank and I continued questioning the prisoner, Harold Lawrence, and he gave us a complete description of the extortionist, the man he knew as Officer Ray Williams. Frank got on the phone, notified the commander of Internal Affairs Division of the latest development, and he advised us to bring the prisoner to his office immediately. We signed Lawrence out of the main jail for investigation and took him to the City Hall, room 37. With the help of Sergeants Lloyd Reiner and Floyd Phillips, we started checking through the personnel files for the suspect. Neither Frank nor myself recognized the name or the description of Williams as given us by Lawrence. The first step was to show the prisoner photographs of every police officer in the department, regardless of rank or detail. He was unable to make an identification. We then showed him photographs of all police officers, retired or otherwise. He failed to identify any of them as Williams. We showed him photographs of all civilian employees of the department. Again, no identification. He was unable to find anyone who even closely resembled the extortionist. Not satisfied with this, the prisoner was shown photographs of all law enforcement agencies' personnel in the area. The same results. No identification. 4:18 p.m. While Reiner and Phillips continued checking on their end, we returned the prisoner to the main jail, and then Frank and I drove out to see his wife, Mrs. Mildred Lawrence. We located her at Lawrence's place of business, a small pet shop just off Wilshire Boulevard.
What is it this time? Haven't we got enough trouble? What do you want now?
We just got through talking to your husband, ma'am. A few things we'd like to clear up. Like to talk to you a few minutes if we could.
You talked to Harry? How is he?
He's all right, ma'am. We've been with him all day. We're still looking into the case.
Why can't you let him alone? He admitted what he was doing. He wasn't lying. He told you everything.
Yes, ma'am. We appreciate that.
And why don't you let him alone? Let me alone. Trouble. That's all we've had. Sickness and trouble. No end of it.
Well, we realize that, Miss Lawrence. We don't like to bother you, but there's something we have to straighten out here.
I haven't anything to tell you. I'm busy. Left alone here to run the store. No help. I'm sick. Shouldn't even be down here. Let us alone. Let me alone. Harry was wrong. He'll pay for it. We're not asking you for anything.
We're asking you for something, ma'am. We'd like you to help us.
Help you? Why? Policemen all alike. As far as I'm concerned, you're nothing but trouble. Reason for all our trouble.
Well, that's what we'd like to talk to you about, ma'am.
I haven't anything to say, I told you. I'm a sick woman. Got a lot of work to do. Do you mind stepping aside there? Got this whole bin of dog food to package up. Can't just stand around and talk. These poor little pups have to be fed. Haven't even cleaned their litter yet.
We appreciate how you feel, Ms. Lawrence. We won't take up too much of your time. Can't you give us just a few minutes,
now,
please?
You listen to me. I've tried to be nice to you. I've got no reason to either. I could tell you a lot of things about policemen, things you wouldn't want to listen to. You think you're so smart. Maybe Harry was doing wrong, but he's not the only one. I could tell you plenty if I wanted.
Well, that's what we're here for, ma'am. We told you we were with your husband all day.
Then why don't you let me alone? Talked to one cop already today. I told him to stay away, and you do the same. I told him just what I thought of him. Low-down thief.
Who was this policeman you talked to today?
You know who he is. Works the same place with you. You big, honest policeman. You never do anything wrong. That Ray Williams ought to be in jail just like Harry is.
Ray Williams. That the man who was here today?
That's what I said, wasn't it? Now, will you get out of here?
Now, look, Miss Lawrence, just a minute, please. We talked to your husband, and he told us all about this man, Williams.
And why don't you do something about it? Go get him and put him in jail, just like you did Harry.
That's what we're trying to do, if you'll just help us. Williams isn't a policeman.
What do you mean?
Yes, ma'am. That's what we've been trying to tell you. We talked to your husband. He told us the whole story.
How can you tell? How do you know he's not a policeman?
He's not, ma'am. We're sure of that.
Harry said he was. Showed Harry his badge.
Well, that doesn't make him a policeman, ma'am. We had your husband look at pictures of every officer in this area. He convinced himself that Williams isn't a policeman.
Well, if he isn't a policeman, who is he?
That's what we want to find out. Will you help us? Mrs. Lawrence?
You'll have to excuse me. I didn't mean to be nasty. Just that I've been sick. All this trouble, Harry in jail.
Yes, ma'am, we understand that. Now, you say Williams was here today. About what time was that?
It was before lunch, about 11:30, 11:45, I think. He came here to get money. That's what he always came for.
Did he say he'd be back?
No, I told him never to come back. Told him Harry was in jail. All the money we gave him, what good did it do? Said I'd go to the city hall if he ever came back.
What'd he say to that?
He said Harry had to expect an arrest now and then. I told him Harry wasn't going to get arrested anymore. He was through with all that junk. People like him, too.
Uh-huh.
Then he swore at me. Called me some real nasty names. Told me I'd better keep my mouth shut or I'd get worse than Harry did. Then he went out and slammed the door.
Was he driving a car? Did you notice?
No, I never saw him in one.
Is there anything you know about Williams at all? I mean, anything that would help us locate him, maybe?
No, I don't think so. All I know is he said he was a policeman. His name was Ray Williams. Couldn't Harry tell you anything? Maybe he knows.
No, ma'am, he couldn't tell us much.
Oh, excuse me, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Lawrence's pet shop. Yes? What's that? Oh, what? Hello? He hung up.
Ma'am?
It was Ray Williams. Said he just drove by here. He saw us.
What do you want?
Said he saw me talking to you. He knows you're a policeman. Told me to keep my mouth shut. Said if I don't, he's coming back.
Yeah?
He said he'd kill me.
Before we left, we called in and arranged for a 24-hour stakeout on Lawrence's pet shop and also on the Lawrence home. Until the suspect was apprehended, she would be given a 24-hour protection. The next day, we picked up Mrs. Lawrence and brought her downtown to the City Hall, room 23. And she was unable to identify any of the photographs of police officers in the area. In addition to the personnel photographs, Mrs. Lawrence also went through a group of pictures which Sergeants Reiner and Phillips came up with. They'd had a run made through the stats office on all known extortionists using the same M.O. Williams used, posing as a police officer. From this group, both Mr. and Mrs. Lawrence gave us 2 partial identifications. Both men were picked up, questioned, and eliminated. Meantime, we'd gotten out a local broadcast, and a teletype was sent to George Brereton, CII Sacramento, asking for assistance in identifying the extortion suspect. The investigation went on. 2 days passed. No leads on the suspect. In checking on other possible victims of the extortionist, Ray Williams, we drove to interview Myra Thomas, operator of a beauty shop out on Crenshaw. She was a tall, good-looking brunette in her early 30s.
This man we're looking for, Miss Thomas, Ray Williams, we understand he's a friend of yours.
Please, Sergeant, you've described the man to me. You told me his name. It doesn't mean a thing to me. I don't know him.
Well, then how'd he get your name, miss?
I'm sure I don't know. I'm sorry, I can't help you.
Well, now, apparently the man knows you, or he knows about you.
I don't think I understand you. It makes you think this man Williams knows me.
We've already told you, ma'am. Mr. Lawrence says that when Ray Williams first approached him, he used your name as a means of introduction. Now, it's not a coincidence. I think you'll admit that.
Well, I just don't understand what it has to do with me. I know how you feel. I have an idea what you're thinking. I was in trouble once, that bookmaking thing. I learned my lesson, though. I'm through with that business.
We're not here about that old arrest, ma'am. We don't want to bother you. Just thought you might be able to help us locate Williams.
I'm sorry. I don't think I can.
Possibly might have been using another name, ma'am.
I still wouldn't know him. Description doesn't sound like anybody I ever knew.
You know the Lawrences pretty well, do you?
Yes, I wouldn't say pretty well, but I do know them.
Have you seen them lately, either one of them?
No, I haven't.
You haven't talked with Mrs. Lawrence the last couple of days?
No, why?
We thought Mrs. Lawrence might have told you what kind of a man this Ray Williams is.
What do you mean? What's so bad about posing as a policeman?
Well, it's more than that, ma'am. He telephoned Mrs. Lawrence, threatened her if she talked to the police about him.
What?
Yes, ma'am. He said he'd kill her.
Oh, no.
Yes, ma'am, that's right.
Couldn't be. He wouldn't do a thing like that.
Do you know him that well?
You are listening to Dragnet, authentic stories of your police force in action.
Because of its quality, Fatima is the one king-size cigarette that stands out. Here's the practical way to prove that yourself.
Compare Fatima with any other king-size cigarette.
1. Fatima's length filters the smoke 85 millimeters for your protection.
2. Fatima's length cools the smoke for your protection.
3. Fatima's length gives you those extra puffs, 21% longer than standard cigarette size.
Fatima gives you more for your money.
And in king-size Fatima, you get an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality.
Because of its quality, its extra mildness, and superbly blended tobaccos, more and more smokers coast to coast are switching to Fatima every day.
Buy Fatima. Your money back plus postage if you're not convinced Fatima is better than the king-size cigarette you're now smoking.
Just return the pack and the unsmoked Fatimas by August 1st, 1952. Fatima, Box 37, New York 1.
Add to your smoking enjoyment. Smoke king-size Fatima, extra mild and soothing, plus the added protection of Fatima quality. Get Fatima in the bright sunny yellow pack. Best of all, king-size cigarettes.
The idea of an extortionist posing as a policeman to obtain money certainly was nothing new. The idea is as old as crime itself. It's one of the most vicious types of extortion in the eyes of law enforcement agencies because so many such cases go unreported to proper authorities by the victims. Usually, the victim is a person of circumstances with something to hide. The extortionist discovers the person's secret by one means or another, and he begins the never-ending process of draining the victim of his last dollar, all under the guise of being a police officer. If the victim's intelligent enough, at the first approach by the extortionist, he takes the matter to the proper authorities. If he isn't, and he's lucky enough eventually to escape the extortion trap, he goes on for the rest of his life believing that a man who was hired to protect him was the source of all his trouble. And for the rest of his life, he hangs on to his idea, and he passes it on to others, a complete disrespect for law and law enforcement officers. Saturday, October 22nd, 2:15 p.m. Frank Smith and I continued questioning the beauty shop operator, Myra Thomas. The more we talked with her, the more we were convinced that she was acquainted with the suspect, Ray Williams. In order to convince her of the suspect's viciousness, we drove her over to see Mrs. Lawrence at the pet shop. After their talk, we drove Myra Thomas back to the beauty shop, and she told us the story.
Guess I have to admit it. He certainly had me fooled. I thought he was a policeman.
You say he showed you his identification, ma'am. I mean, when he first approached you.
Yes, he showed me a badge. It looked authentic to me. And the way he talked, the things he said. I thought he was a policeman. I really did.
Now, you've heard our end of the story, Miss Thomas. You've talked to Mrs. Lawrence. Are you willing to help us now?
It won't get around, will it? Won't be in the newspapers?
They won't get it from us, no.
You won't tell my husband, will you? He doesn't have to know all about this.
No, ma'am. Not unless you want him to.
Well, I don't. We're not getting along too well as it is. Williams is the trouble, too. Guess I should have told you when you first asked me.
What's that, miss?
Just like the Lawrences, I was paying him off, too. A lot longer than the Lawrences. Every week I paid him, and I couldn't tell anyone. Couldn't even tell my husband.
What's that, ma'am?
Guess I thought I was smart. The bookmaking thing, I mean. Started taking a few bets from the girls in the shop, just small ones. I didn't mean anything by it. And this Williams came in one day. Said his girlfriend made a bet with me, and he wanted to place one, too.
Mm-hmm. Did you take it?
Yes, like I told you, I thought I was smart. As soon as I took the bet, he showed me the badge, told me he was a police officer. That's when it started. Same thing, just like the Lawrences.
How about after you were arrested, Miss Thomas? What happened with Williams then?
Well, after I got it settled, Williams came back to the shop again. I told him then I was through with the horses. Wouldn't have anything to do with it again. After that, I didn't see him for a while. I sure was glad.
You've seen him since? You know where we can locate him now?
Well, no, I don't. I have seen him since, though. You promised me my husband won't know about this. You give me your word.
Miss Thomas, if you don't want your husband to know about this, it's your business. He'll never hear it from us.
It's got to be that way, believe me. I love my husband. Ray Williams has caused us nothing but trouble. Can't tell you the worry he's caused me. I mean, besides all the money I paid him, too.
You mean you're still paying him?
Yes, that's right. Every week. You don't know how low that man is. I can't begin to tell you. I thought he was a policeman.
Well, why are you still paying him off, ma'am? You mind telling us that?
No, I guess I don't mind. I've gone this far.
All right.
It was while my husband and I were separated. We had a fight. We were separated. I started going out on dates, nothing serious. One night I was out with a fella from out of town. A nice fella. This Ray Williams saw me and a fella sitting in the car. Parking lot right in back of the bar. We were necking. Williams come by and he knew that I saw him.
I see.
There wasn't anything wrong, really. I love my husband. He wouldn't understand about the fella that night, though. I mean, if Williams ever told him.
That's what he's been holding over your head, has he?
Yes, it's more than a year now. I've paid him every week. I'll tell you the truth, Sergeant. I can't go on much longer. I can't.
Well, you don't have to worry about it anymore. Just help us locate the man. That's all you have to do now.
Well, I don't know where he lives, but I know he's going to contact me. He always does.
And that's what we'd like to know. How does he contact you?
He phones usually once a week, maybe every other week. Calls me and tells me to meet him someplace and bring the money, $50 every week.
Do you have a regular time that he calls you?
No, almost any time. It's never the same day, never the same place I meet him. I haven't heard from him in over a week now. He should be calling pretty soon, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Usually call here, or does he phone you at home?
Both places. He seems to know where to reach me. I don't know what I'm going to do this time. I just don't know.
Ma'am?
I haven't got the money for him. I'm broke. $4 or $5. That's all I have.
Well, don't worry about it.
But he's going to want his payoff. You know that. What am I going to do?
This time it's on us. Before we left Myra Thomas at the beauty shop, we had a definite understanding that as soon as she heard from the extortionist, Ray Williams, she was to call us immediately, any time of the day or night. Then we called the office and made arrangements for stakeouts to be placed both at the beauty shop and at Myra Thomas's home in case Williams decided to contact her in person. The Thomas woman was given a plain envelope containing $50 in marked bills, which she was to hand over to the suspect the next time he demanded his regular payoff. 2 days went by. Tuesday, October 25th. No word on the suspect. Thursday, the 27th. Still no word. Saturday morning, October 29th.
I got it.
Right.
Vice detail, Smith. How's that? Oh, yeah. I see. Hold on, huh? Pencil, Joe?
Yeah, here you go.
What was that place again? Okay. The time? Mm-hmm. Yeah, surely. In about half an hour. Yes, ma'am. We'll be there. Goodbye.
What do you got, Frank? Anything?
Yeah, Myra Thomas.
Yeah?
He wants to see us. I told her we'd be over in about half an hour.
What's the deal?
Williams called her. He wants his money.
11:15 a.m. Frank and I got in the car and drove out to see Myra Thomas at her apartment. She told us that the suspect, Ray Williams, had telephoned her shortly before 11 o'clock that morning and set up a date to meet her for his regular payoff at 10 o'clock that night. The designated meeting place was a small nightclub out on Santa Monica Boulevard. The Thomas woman was to meet Williams at the bar. We told her to get there a few minutes ahead of time, and if she happened to spot Frank and I in the nightclub, she was to give no sign of recognition. As far as the actual payoff was concerned, we instructed her to hand over the envelope containing the money to the suspect when he demanded it, without any argument. Shortly after 9 o'clock that night, Frank and I entered the nightclub and got a table directly adjoining the bar. It was a modernistic affair, lighted from below with a blue fluorescent lamp. A 4-piece orchestra was playing at the rear of the place. Nobody was dancing. Only a few of the tables were occupied, but the bar was doing a good business. We waited. 9:30, 9:45. We spotted Myra Thomas as she entered the club. She went to the far end of the bar, sat down on one of the stools, and ordered a highball. 9:50, 10 p.m. We kept waiting. 10:15, 10:30. Still no sign of the suspect. We watched Myra Thomas order another highball.
Getting late, Joe.
Yeah, what time you got?
25 to 11. Joe, just came in, coming this way, gray suit.
Yeah,
What do you think?
Well, the description fits, doesn't it?
Yeah, must be. Going up to Miss Thomas, talking to her.
All right.
He's got the envelope.
All right, just a minute. Let's give him room.
He's leaving. Going for the front door. What do you say?
All right, let's go.
Not wasting any time.
Come on, let's hurry. Down the street. Come on.
All right, mister, hold it.
What's the matter? What do you want?
Police officers would like to talk to you.
Me? What about? What's the matter?
You got your identification?
Oh, sure, right here. What do you want?
We'd like to look at it.
Oh, sure, here you are. Oh, excuse me.
That's your badge?
Oh, no, it's nothing.
Where'd you get that phony badge?
Friend of mine? Why, what's the matter?
What do you got in your right-hand pocket?
Well, nothing, just an envelope. Why?
Is there money in that envelope?
What'd you say?
I said, is there any money in that envelope? Currency.
Yeah, I think so. Why? What's the difference?
You know the serial numbers on the bills in that envelope?
Look, I don't know what you mean, serial numbers on the money. What are you getting at?
You got 7 pieces of paper money in that envelope. 3 $10 bills and 4 5s.
Yeah, what about it?
Extortion, mister. You know the pitch. Now, come on, let's go.
Now, hold it. Wait a minute. Let's get this straight, huh? So I got an envelope in my pocket. Ordinary envelope. That's supposed to make me a criminal?
No, no more than that badge makes you a cop. Come on.
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On January 8th, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 86, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Friends, our sales records show that more and more smokers every day are switching to king-size Fatima. Now, this makes us feel especially good because it backs up what we've been telling you, that Fatima gives you more for your money. No other king-size cigarette can match Fatima quality. When you buy your first pack and compare them with the cigarette you've been smoking, you'll notice Fatimas do have a better flavor and aroma, and you'll like their extra mild and soothing smoke. Next time, buy Fatima. Best of all, king-size cigarettes.
Raymond Edward Williams was tried and convicted of extortion 1 count and impersonating an officer 1 count. He received sentences as prescribed by law and is now serving his term in the state penitentiary. Extortion is punishable by imprisonment for not less than 1 nor more than 10 years. Impersonation of an officer is punishable by a fine of not more than $1,000 or by imprisonment for not more than 1 year or by both such fine and imprisonment.
Friends, sometime during the next 2 weeks, you'll be asked to buy a poppy in memory of those who fought to keep freedom alive. Give generously when you're asked and wear your poppy proudly.
You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Frazier. Heard tonight were Herb Ellis, Vic Rodman, June Whitley. Script by Jim Moser. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
King-size Fatima, made by the same people who make popular Chesterfield cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Stay tuned for Counter Spy next on NBC.